Hello everybody, welcome to PE with Coach Matt. Today is episode 4. We are going to talk about the level 3 exercises in the Balanced Body Cross Training regimen. And I want to tie this into motivation. Get you guys thinking about what's motivating you to exercise and some considerations around that. So first of all, PE with Coach Matt. Who is this for? This is for anybody who is looking to learn a little bit more about exercise and get some ideas for what you can do to improve your fitness and maintain your fitness. And I'm doing this with the Bath Community Access channel, and I really believe in what we're doing here. Unlike the mainstream corporate media, we don't have a conflict of interest. We serve this community, and we're all about how we can improve this community. We have an uplifting and positive message. We're not here to fearmonger, we're here to empower. And also, I should say, I'm here at Ship City Fitness in Bath, and this is a really fantastic place. It's a locally owned business. Brandon McCoy is the owner. I'm an independent contractor working here, and I love to work with anybody. So again, if you are in the area, the best thing you can do is come see us here. Come walk in, check out a class. The first class is free. Let's talk first about motivation. So I have an article that I've written on this. It's the 10 steps to motivation and around exercise specifically. So really quickly, I'll go through these. So first of all, you have to recognize your motivation. Strong motivation comes from choosing activities that you truly enjoy, learning skills that impress you, and building a sense of community around your fitness endeavors. Secondly, you have to understand the fitness categories, and this is what this show is all about. I'm helping you to understand what are the fundamental movements and how to incorporate those into your routine. Thirdly, setting SMART goals, and I went over this in the first episode. The SMART goal setting process is hugely valuable to setting your priorities straight and getting you thinking about what is the best thing to be doing. Fourthly, practicing the universal posture. I'm going to talk a lot about this today in a minute, and I've talked about it in previous episodes. 5, never push through pain. Pain is an indicator that something is not quite going right. You should consult a physician. Also, this is what we do here at Ship City, and there's probably a lot of great trainers all around the community that can help you to identify in where you're feeling the pain and what you can do to modify so you can stay active even if you have pain in a certain movement, but also how you can address the issue. And you do want to address the issue, not just avoid it. Sixthly, prioritizing the fundamental movements. And again, I'm going to talk all about the fundamental movements in just a minute. 7th, identifying appropriate movements. So we, in the first episode, went through a physical assessment, and going through an assessment process will help you to understand what are the best things for you to be doing and what is an appropriate movement for you. 8, planning for progress. So if you are going through that goal setting process and you're identifying what your goals are, and then you are writing everything down and having a plan, you will have a much higher likelihood that you will actually see progress. And 9th is to be consistent and persistent. So consistently exercising at least twice a week. But if you're at this level 3, you probably want to be exercising about 3 times per week, maybe even 4 times per week. And it doesn't have to be a whole 3-hour workout, knock down, drag out workout. You just have to get yourself into the gym and follow your plan. And even if it's just a 15 minutes 4 times a week, you can be very consistent, and you'll be demonstrating persistence as well. And lastly, really importantly, this is kind of an intake thing, nutrition thing. Well, drinking a lot of water. There's been some research to show that up to 70% of people don't drink the daily recommended amount of water. any kind of mild headache that you may feel, or most of the time when you feel a headache, it's just due to dehydration. When you're lacking focus in the workday, a lot of times that's due to dehydration. So water, 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 water. Well, one more thing about motivation, and I will refer you to last week's episode where I talk about community and fitness, and I talk a lot about the importance of the buddy system and involving people that are in your life in your fitness endeavor. I touched on that briefly in here, but I probably should talk a little bit more about that. That's hugely important. That's one of the most motivating factors in exercise, is if you have a partner working out with you, you have people involved in your journey, and you're accountable to them. Accountability is hugely important to this. Okay, now on to level 3. And so at level 1, I showed I went through a physical assessment. There was just a general physical assessment. Well, since then I've been working on this, and it's actually going to be better if you do a little bit more targeted physical assessment. So I now have physical assessments that you can do at each level. So at first I want to go through the level 3 physical assessment. And I choose these movements. So in all of level 3, there are about 70 different movements. I picked out the most important 6. Most important because they are the most necessary in order to perform activities of daily living. And that's what this is all about. I want you to feel more confident and fluid and independent in your activities of daily living. That's the foundation. Everything else is kind of extra. Everything else is sport. But there are some things that we really need to be able to do if we're going to have just an easy time getting around throughout our day. So at level 3, the first thing is walking. So at this level, the previous level, you were doing assisted walking. Now you're doing unassisted walking. So you can kind of see, and at level 3, we're obviously advancing from level 2, but this is still a workout that's probably for seniors. This is a very light workout routine. These are very gentle exercises, and they're all about you're trying to become very fluid and graceful in doing these movements. It's not a really hardcore, intense thing at all. It's about fluidity in movement. So the first thing is walking, and I'm just going to walk in place here, but you're just trying to be able to stand tall and walk evenly on both legs. And for the assessment, let's just see the distance that you can travel in 2 minutes with no assistance walking. Secondly, hip hinges. And for the rest of these, you're just going to you can kind of go through this for 30 seconds. And also, it's really beneficial if you have somebody taking pictures of you or taking a video of you, because then you can actually see, a picture's worth 1,000 words. You can see your body angle, and then you can work on it for a while. And I bet if you're consistent with it, you're going to see progress in the movement. Okay, so hip hinges are where I'm going to have my feet down right underneath my hips, and then I'm going to bend at the waist. And notice that my knees stay back, my hips go back, my shoulders come forward. And then I'm going to stand back up. And I'm just going to flow through this. For the purpose of trying to get through all the exercises, I'm just going to do each of these for 15 seconds, but you may want to do this for up to 30 seconds. Alright, so then the next one is going to be a push-up plank elevated to knee height. So I just have this box right here, which is about knee height for me, and I'm going to put my palms down, and I'm going to step my legs back, and then I'm just going to hold this position, okay? And I want to flex through my hips, I want to brace my abdominals, and most importantly, I want to sit my shoulders down. So I'm not rounding and shrugging when I'm doing any upper body exercise. I'm sitting the shoulders down like this. So the next one is going to be a standing overhead reach. So here, I'm just standing tall. Again, I want to flex through the legs. I'm going to start with my thumbs touching my shoulders, and then from here, I'm going to raise my arms overhead and see if I can get my palm directly over my shoulder. If you're tight with the shoulders, you may only come to here, you may only come to here. But the idea is to end up with full range of motion at the shoulder, and this is the test. And if you're not quite there, well, certainly this is something that's worth working on. Next is the assisted sit to stand below the knee. So now I have a bench that is right below my knee, and I'm going to see if I can squat down and come back up, and I can use my hands on my palms. So feet slightly wider than your hips, heels stay down the whole time, and then I'm going to send the hips back. Again, it's just like the hip hinge thing at this point. It's the same movement, but now I have to drop my hips a little further to get down to the bench, so I'll start to bend the knees. But notice that the shoulders stay angled, and then I'm going to sit all the way down, and I'm going to sit all the way back. And now, here's where the fluidity comes into play. I'm going to gracefully flow out of the bottom here, and I'm going to press my hands into my legs as much as I need to. One thing that tends to happen here, my knees, I don't want them to collapse in. There's a tendency for this to happen. If you're trying to be too upright with your torso, it's hard not for that to happen. So I'm instead going to, before I lift my hips, I'm going to be here, but I'm going to rock into it. So I'm rocking forward to stand tall, and then sitting the hips back to sit all the way back. And I'll flow through this. And can I do it really gracefully? And then the last one is going to be a recumbent bike. You're going to do just ride on a bicycle, a recumbent bicycle, so that means I'm going to be seated, and I want my chest to be, I want my back to be against a seat. And I don't have a proper recumbent bike, but if you swing over here, you're going to see I have one of these Airdyne bicycles. And usually I would sit on the seat, but actually Brandon came up with this, which is really cool. You could actually use this as a recumbent bike. Actually, even better if I had a seat with a back, and we have some here, but I'm just going to demo right here. And this works really well. I can do this bicycle just like a recumbent bicycle. And the one thing on the bike that you want to make sure is your knee angle, just like with the squatting. There can be a tendency for your knees to be collapsing inward. Make sure that you keep, so you want a straight line from your hip to your knee to your heel. If you have the knees cave in, it's not going to feel so good on the knees, so just be aware of that. Okay, so, and that, by the way, see what you can do in 4 minutes. Just see the distance that you travel in 4 minutes and how that feels. Okay, so those movements, that's your physical assessment. And now if you can do all of those movements no problem, then you're definitely ready to incorporate all of the level 3 movements into your routine. And like I said, in the Balanced Body Cross Training Program, there are 70 different movements that you can incorporate at level 3. I'm just going to go over a few more of these today. And these are sort of still really good movements, really important movements, but I would say if you did nothing else at level 3, you should do the things that I just talked about. But here's a couple more ideas. All right, so lateral steps. Our ability to move ourselves laterally, this is one of the things. So sink your body down a little bit, lower your center of mass, knees, hips, and ankles bent a little bit. And then I'm just going to pick my foot up and place it down to the side, and then pick the other one up to meet, and they come together. And then I'm just going to go back and forth. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. This is a basic movement that you can do for any sort of dance classes that you may want to do, or step aerobics classes. So at level 3, I'll say right now what kind of classes I think would be appropriate at level 3, and I would definitely encourage you to take classes. Light yoga, Tai Chi, light Tai Chi, beginners, and also a light water aerobics class would be appropriate and encouraged to do if you're at this level 3. But now I'm going to show you a few more here. One leg balance exercises next. So simply here, you're going to try to establish your balance on one leg, lift the other leg in front, and hold this position. See if you can hold this. And again, most of these exercises, think about doing it for 30 seconds. 30 seconds each side. And here, lean the shoulders back a little bit, flex through the legs, and also flex the up leg, point the toe. A lunge split stance hold, this is a really important thing to increase your ability in. Stepping one leg forward, stepping the other leg back. You can lean forward, so about 3/4 of your weight on your front leg in this position, and the front heel is down, the back heel is up, and you just try to hold firm in this position. Get your balance and increase your ability to split your legs and drop your hips. You can also do a sit to stand above the knee, so I'll go to my higher box, and this time I'm going to try not to use my arms. So it's the same exact motion, but this time I'm not going to use, I'm not going to push against my legs. I'm going to actually swing my arms free and see if I can get up this way. So I'll sit back, I'll sit all the way down, and then I can reach the arms back here, and I'm going to, in order to get momentum, and then I'll rock forward, and I'll swing my arms up. Try it again, sitting back, reaching the arms back, leaning forward, and swinging up. If you can, and then, you know, so at the fourth level, we'll see if we can do that on the lower box. You can see how this progresses. Dumbbells and bands are something that you can start to incorporate a few exercises with resistance, dumbbells and bands. One thing you can do with the dumbbell is, I'll just grab some light ones here, very light. I've got 5 pounds here. I'm going to have a seat. I'm going to do these ones seated. I'm going to start with the weights touching my shoulders, and it's actually the same exact motion that I did standing for the assessment, but now I'm doing it seated with a little bit of resistance. And I'll try to press it straight up and see if I can go directly over my head and back down to the shoulder. Great exercise for shoulder health. Now I can also do a few with the bands. I have 2 different sizes, open loop bands with handles here. So I'm going to first take my lighter one, and I'm going to do a seated band pull apart. So I'll have a seat, I'll extend my band straight out, and I want to find the right tension. So if I go a little wider, it will be easier, and if I come closer, it will be harder. And then from here, I'm just going to pull the band across my chest, all the way across my chest, and then control it back to the starting position. And again, here I could do about 30 seconds. But I'll just show you a few repetitions there, and you're thinking about squeezing your shoulder blades together for that one. Another one I can do, now I'll use the heavier bands. I'm going to wrap it around the post, and I'm actually going to come over here and sit a little further away, so I'm sitting to the point where I'm just getting tension on the band. And then I'll grab the band with both hands. I want to sit nice and tall, by the way. I would want to do that for the previous exercise as well. So sit tall, tuck the chin, roll the shoulders back and down, brace the abdominals, plant the feet firmly into the ground. Then from here, I'm going to pull the band right into my chest, squeezing the shoulder blades together, and then control it back to the starting position. That's a linear 2-arm banded row. Something that's going to really be necessary at level 3 is your ability to get up and down off of the ground as gracefully as possible. So I'm going to do a level 3 version of a standing to kneeling position. So what I've found is probably the way you want to start is like this. So I'm going to first step 1 foot back. Then I'm going to hinge at the hips and put my hand right on my thigh. From here, I'm going to drop my shoulders a little further and see if I can get my hand on the ground. From here, I'm going to drop the back knee down, and then I can bring myself into an upright position. Now to get back up, this is how I'm going to get back up. First, I'm going to put that hand back down on the ground. My other hand is on my knee. From here, I'm going to extend the back knee. Now from here, I'm going to walk my hands right over to the middle of my feet, and I kind of pivot my feet, and then from here, I'll stand up, and I can bring the feet together. Now I'm going to go through that a little more quickly. I'm going to step back, put the hands down, put the one hand down on the ground, drop the back knee, and then I can be in an upright kneeling position. Now from here, I'll hinge the waist, put the hand down, back knee elevated. I'll walk the hands over the middle, pivot the feet, and then stand up from there, step the feet together. Okay, so that's something that's really worth practicing on a regular basis. And we'll try to get to the point where you don't even need to use your hands to get up and down. That's where we're trying to go with this. One more really important stretch at this level is a back, they call it the back scratch test. So I'm going to do this from a seated position, and I'm going to reach my arms back behind my back. So one is coming over the top, and one is coming from the bottom below. And I'm going to try to touch my hands together, bring them as close together as possible. And then from here, I'm going to try to open up the chest, which is really going to stretch the shoulders. And this is a really important one for increasing your shoulder health. I'll try my other side. So if you're having trouble reaching your arms overhead, or if you're having any shoulder pain, this is one of the most important ways to try to improve your mobility. Okay, last thing I'm going to show you for today is, this is one of the best tools I know of for soft tissue release. This is the Theracane, and you can get these on really any sporting goods store usually carries these, or they should carry these because it's one of the coolest tools ever. And so what is soft tissue release? Well, this is like a massage basically. We do all this stuff that's resistance training and it's making your muscles work. Well, one thing that can happen is, complicated topic made as simple as possible, put into the simplest terms possible, though it doesn't quite do it justice. So your body puts down connective tissue in response to a trauma. So if you had any injury, your body will put down connective tissue, which in the short term is a good thing because it stabilizes your joint that is injured. But it doesn't really go away on its own. So, and it can result in stiffness, the stiffness that you feel. In addition to stretching, in addition to resistance training exercises, another technique that you can do to try to break up the excess connective tissue is through a massage. And another word for massage is soft tissue release, because that's what it's doing. It's helping to release the tension in your soft tissues. This Theracane will do this. So if you have upper back soreness, chronic upper back soreness, oh man, this feels amazing. You can dig it right in there. It's really easy to use. I mean, you can see I'm just holding on to it like this, and I stick it in my back, and I press it right in there. And it feels so good, and it's one of the only tools, one of the best ways that you can massage those really tender areas of the upper back. But you can also use this to massage other areas. So you can take this point here and you can press it right into your thighs, and your thighs may get sore. Another area that tends to get really tight and crampy are your calves. So you can bring one leg up and you can stick that point right in there and massage that out. I can't speak highly enough about this tool. Every household should have one of these. Okay, so I'm going to conclude today by really encouraging you to come in here to Ship City Fitness or to interact with me here. So I have classes in the early evening where it's called the Strength and Skill class, where we do resistance training, but we're also trying to increase skills. We do some basic gymnastics movements, and it's a lot of fun. I also am available in the early mornings where I work more with a senior demographic, folks who are over the age of 55 who want to stay active and they want to know what the best things for them to do are. I love to work with those people and consult with those folks. I also am involved with the Bath Rec department where I run the after school sports club, and that's been growing leaps and bounds, and it's been super fun. We just play games after school Mondays and Wednesdays. I have my online work, the Balanced Body Cross Training Program. It's a subscription-based website, so if you get on there, if you subscribe, you will have access to all of my exercise demonstrations, over 800 exercises, how-tos for those, video demonstrations, and for a premium, I will work directly with you to help you to draft a program, and that program will be linked directly up to all the how-tos. So we can, and also I will interact with you on a weekly basis. So going back to the motivation bit, accountability is huge, and that's why coaching works. Coaching works because they will help you. You have somebody to be accountable to, and you will be literally buying in. You will be buying into your preventative wellness. And I had a conversation earlier this week about the fact that for some people that are busy and they're engaged in a lot of other things, but they do want to have an active lifestyle, it's really helpful for them to have somebody that takes the guesswork out of it for them. They can just show up to the gym and they know exactly what they are supposed to do, and they don't need to think about it. And that's a hugely valuable thing. And that's another thing that a coach can do for you. That's what I can do for you. I will help you to pick out the best things to do. We'll come up with a plan. We'll make sure you know exactly what you are to do, and then all you got to do is show up to the gym and do your thing. All right? So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have a great day, and stay tuned next week.